Unanswered Universe podcast. Question Everything starts now. I'm Evan, this is Will, and that's Sierra Neblina. Today we have a special guest, Ismael Perez, the Galactic historian, Starseed ambassador, and author of Cosmic Origin. If you ever heard talk about Anunnaki, the secret space program, or hidden alien tech, Ismael's the guy who ties it all together. So get ready, what you've heard about all of this is now going to be flipped on its ear, because Ismael is going to break it down a little bit different. Ismael, let's get into it.
There is a lot of evidence that indicates that Sakurai Sitchin was part of these secret societies from the beginning. There is some sort of a bloodline association that actually relates to a negative group of aliens known as the Draconian reptilians that are the bad guys in space. I do want to make a disclaimer that not all reptilian races in the cosmos are evil. A good portion of them are actually working within the councils of light, and they are reformed reptilians. The whole point is that those were the two rivaling brothers that seized control of our world approximately 500,000 years ago when they first arrived. Darwinian evolution was actually one of the ways that the powers that were, the Cabal and their Anunnaki alien overlords, were trying to make us believe that we came from, primitive stock. They dispersed from the original star system that surrounds a star known as Vega. So Vega is the star that planet Avion was orbiting around 560 million years ago when our ancestors first came into existence in our universe. The main primary custodians of our universe, the Syrians, the Guardians, those were the original Guardians, very similar to the Asgardians. That explains why it only comes into our solar system every 3,600 years, because when it's outside of our solar system, it's actually patrolling the other human civilizations. But when they decided to join the rebellion against the One, which we call Prime Creator Source, their bodies morphed into these ugly-looking beasts, that look like standing upright lizard men that are like 12 to 15 feet tall. And so what ended up happening 2 million years ago was that the Draconians decided to infiltrate our solar system through a portal in Mars from the Orion constellation, from the Rigel system. So from planet Malvik, the Draco launched a preemptive strike against the surface dwellers on all the planets that were inhabited 2 million years ago. And what they did is they blew up planet Tiamat, and a part of planet Tiamat became the asteroid belt. So this proved to me that just like how we reincarnate, planets also reincarnate when they have to continue their lives, their existence. And among those Draconians that survived in the 2% was a queen by the name of Dramin. And she was the lizard queen that hailed from the planet On, which is orbiting around the Rigel star system, the headquarters world of the Draconians. Put an end to the Galactic War. And unfortunately, one night, what ended up happening was she got Anu drunk, she gave him some booze, and she started dancing seductress for him. So Enki was the bastard son. He was half Syrian, Lyrian, from his dad's lineage, Guardian, and half Draco reptilian from his mother's lineage.
And royal.
Well, part of the Starseed Envoy program is that they built these avatars for us, but I'm still connected with my original avatar, my galactic body, which is a feline. I'm typically a cat. I'm not necessarily human.
Which is the lion.
Which is a lion. So I'm a lion. Human body, face of a lion. That's my original form. So this is an avatar that they designed so that a part of my consciousness could go down into this human body here on Earth. So one of the things that they allowed me to do since I was a kid was have telepathic contact with my Lyran self. But one of the reasons why the atmosphere of Nibiru was leaking, right, picking it up from the Sumerian translations, where they came to the Earth for gold so that they could reduce it to dust, monoatomic, and then dispatch it to kind of, you could say, seal the hole in their atmosphere because their lifespan was decreasing. That's when they saw the primitives. That's when they saw the Atlanteans. And the Atlanteans were actually part of the original seeding. The original humans, according to the records, the intergalactic records, were actually seeded on this planet when planet Earth was still Tiamat millions of years ago, 560 million years ago, but on the fifth dimension. So we were originally seeded in the 5D Earth. And this is what many people call the Terra Earth, which is the new Earth that we're about to enter when the ascension takes place.
Why why do we start with Adam and Eve when we could know the truth?
So before the Anunnaki, the Atlantean colony was a thriving, flourishing colony. They were very balanced, both in spiritual and technological prowess, to the point where they lived in a type of egalitarian system where everybody had everything in an abundance. The Atlanteans were interacting positively with many races throughout the universe. The Atlanteans were blown away with some of this new technology that Enki introduced. Over time, the Atlanteans became seduced by technology at the expense of their spiritual growth. The moon that we have today is an artificial construct, and there's many evidence of that coming from whistleblowers and many other people. But the original moon was organic. It was a living sentient entity just like the Earth. So back then there was a balance of colonies, and these were all type 2, type 1 interplanetary and stellar civilizations. The first thing they did was erased any record of the sacred divine feminine, and they completely modified all the records, and then they created religions. And ever since then, people have been worshiping them as gods. And so since then, you could say humanity was reduced into a slave race because Enki was the master geneticist. But what they failed to tell us is that that was all part of a master plan to downgrade the Atlanteans from reaching their full capacity, who are our original ancestors, by the way. Yeah. Well, the problem with CRISPR is that they're not about unlocking the organic 10 strands of the disconnected DNA. They're actually about inserting cybernetic strands.
That's right.
They're more about transhumanism, and that's another, again, subject that is plaguing our civilization. Nibiru is scheduled to come back, and many believe that's going to be our second sun. In fact, scientists are starting to see the returning of our sun's twin, which they call Nemesis, and it's not going to destroy us. It's actually going to be coming back to ignite and activate the descendants of the guardian Anunnaki. AI is the final.
And here we are.
And here we are.
Isn't that nuts?
Are they going to take the transhumanist timeline by merging with technology, or are they going to evolve spiritually and be part of the organic timeline?
Is all this going to be for nothing? Are we going to end up like, for example, you can go back with generations of life, like before you were Ishmael, you were something else. Is this just going to be another reset? Are we going to die, be reincarnated, and then have to learn all this over again?
For those that are doing the spiritual work, those that are advancing spiritually, they will activate their dormant DNA and become superhuman. There is evidence that these CMEs are packed with light codes, with information that is communicating with our DNA at a cellular level, causing new codons to come online, re-instructing it with new mathematical formulas that is allowing for this other 96% of our DNA material to come back online when the time is right. See, most people that have been programmed by organized religion think that this being is going to come from the sky. No, that was interjected in all the holy books by the Anunnaki, so that when Enki returned, and he did return in 2022, so that many could worship Enki as Jesus. And that's going to be happening very, very soon, because a lot of people are already beginning to cultivate that. And once they reach a certain level of consciousness, which is called cosmic universal Christ consciousness, and that has nothing to do with religion, it is the mind of Christ being activated, which in turn activates the dormant strands, allowing these people to have supernatural powers.
And who is Christ? I mean, is it fair to say he's an alien?
Yes, Christ comes from remember I was saying earlier that the Syrians are like the Asgardians of the 9 realms?
Yes.
So Christ was a Syrian.
He was a Syrian.
He was a Syrian, yeah, he came from Syria. Yeah.
I mean,
different terminologies, the same phenomena, the gods of the Bible, the gods of mythology, the aliens of today, and the angels of the Bible are all one and the same.
It's all the same.
It's all one and the same. It's the best thing to do is to realize through meditation that you are God, that God is not outside of you. The best way to be selfless is just have empathy for all living things, including animals, and just wake up every morning telling yourself, what can I do to make the world a better place? Neither did Buddha. They were teaching us how to attain the mind of God through meditation, through prayer. So by attaining the universal mind of the Logos, which is becoming one with the mind of the cosmos, then you are one with everything. At that point, you are God. You could literally say you're God, because you've merged your individualized unit of consciousness with the mind of the all, which is everything. They don't want people to go within, because once people start going within, guess what? We're going to be seeing the collapsing of all religion. And it's already happening because a lot of people are waking up. And once enough people snap out of their programming and hypnosis and realize that we're never separated from God, that they are God, and that God is everything, that would be the end of religion as we know. If your frequency is a match to the new earth and the solar flash takes place, you're going to be translated into that new earth automatically.
It's not physical. It's not like a light comes up.
It's
like
no,
everyone gets,
yeah.
it's like you change.
Because the earth is shifting into the Terra Earth, the original earth that existed in the times of Atlantis. Well, that's going to be existing in dimensions 4, 5, and 6, not just the 5th. The only people that are not going to be making the 4th D positive timeline or the 5th D are the wicked. They're going to be destroyed upon the flash. You know, we are in the cusp of ages between Pisces and Aquarius. And yeah, you know, these are the best times to be living in. The cabal that took over the affairs of our planet, who are pretty much the children of Marduk. Marduk also had hybrid children, right? So basically, we are returning back to our original existence, which is, again, our lifespan increases by thousands of years. And then once we get into the 5th dimension, that's the dimension of unity consciousness, where there is no more polarity, there is no more evil, because everyone is living in tune with the universal laws that govern the universe. So physicality exists, from what I understand, is all the way up to the 6th dimension. Beyond the 6th dimension, we start getting into etheric matter, or ether. We become etheric. And then once we get into the 10th dimension, we become plasma beings. And the light body was actually the original vehicle that our consciousness was infused in before we dropped in density and all the way down to the 3D, where we kind of became, you know, stuck in these 3-dimensional bodies, thinking that everything was separated.
Yes. I don't know who my father is, but I'm pretty sure he's still in the secret space program. But he basically just impregnated my mother, disappeared. He was at McCoy Air Force Base. I started talking to him, and I just was mentioning one day that I can hear people's thoughts, and can't everybody do that? And don't you see the angels standing over there and stuff like that? And next thing I know, there was men in white, and they were using blue and white cards, telepathic testing cards. If you look it up online, look up who owns the mineral rights on, let's go basic, the moon.
On the moon, isn't there 3 people who own mineral rights of the moon?
Why the governments of the world have been told to prepare your people, your people, or else, because we're coming back, whether you want people to know about it or not.
So we know Trump started what's called, I believe it's called Solar Warden.
Space Force.
The Space Force.
Space Force.
Yes. Now, so this means that there's been a secret space program going on way before Trump started this Space Force, right?
For over 80 years,
So-
yeah. Unbeknownst to the public, there's been several breakaway groups that have literally broken off and have gone into space to begin the colonization process of not only the solar system, our solar system, but the Milky Way. So what they did is they infiltrated through Project Paperclip. They created all the 3-letter agencies. They created NASA. And so they created a second breakaway group that became known as the ICC, the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate. And the ICC and the Dark Fleet, which was the Nazi Draco secret space program. So a lot of these worlds throughout the Milky Way thought that we were all Nazis because of what the Dark Fleet was doing. The initial purpose of Solar Warden was to act as an interplanetary police force, not only for our solar system and the Earth, but also to kind of go out there in space and fight the Dark Fleet and rescue and really bring those planets into liberation that were being conquered by the Dark Fleet. Disclosure is going to be coming because from what I understand is Solar Warden is now in control. So I would say about 80% of the Starseed population on the planet have no clue that they were used as super soldiers. And, you know, they were blank slated.
You wonder why so many people, by the hundreds of thousands, disappear just from the United States. They're not even tracking the world statistics. All of those people are abducted, well, a good majority of them, and forced into these off-world colonies and under sometimes horrific conditions.
Our story is a lot bigger than we thought. That, you know, here we are going on and off planet, and we could have relatives and already colonizing another planet.
I think people are just going to be pissed off and shocked that this whole time they had to pay their electricity bill when energy could have been free. They arrived, what they saw was aliens that had already been colonizing the moon, and they saw Americans there, they saw Russians, they saw Nazis, and they were just like this, how did this happen? And they were told to keep silent.
We took a shuttle TR-3B to the moon, and then there was a bay in the moon for which we stepped through a portal into Mars. We didn't fly there.
My website is ourcosmicorigin.com. I do teach classes. I teach the entire cosmic and galactic history. I explain dimensions. I tell people their starseed origin.
What do you think, Will?
I think we definitely need to have Ismael back on because there's so many more questions.
I think I am a starseed.
You think you're a starseed?
I do, because after he's talking, I just felt something in me change a little bit.
Or according to Ish, we're all starseeds. Your reptilian eye. I think that's cataracts. I'm not sure.